Is the Bible true? The Dead Sea Scrolls, Part 1. If you've ever wondered what deserts are good for, one of the reasons came out in the greatest archaeological discovery of our time in 1947. In the mountains east of Jerusalem, a goat had gone missing from the herd, and several nomadic goatherds were on a mission to find it. These young boys scrambled carefully along the limestone cliffs near the area known as Qumran. It's a stark part of the earth where the land plummets 1,200 meters to the lowest point on our planet, the Dead Sea. One of the goatherds came upon an opening he couldn't fit through and decided to throw some stones to see if the goat would respond. Instead of the bleating that he hoped for, he heard the breaking of pottery. Treasure, he thought. He was sure he had found treasure, but it was getting dark and he needed to call off the search in order to get all his goats together for the evening. The next day this goatherd took with him the youngest of them they called the wolf. He just might be able to fit through the narrow opening of the cave. What the wolf found was disappointing. Broken pottery shards all over. But in the lining of the walls he finds narrow jars with their lids still in place. Hope renewed. He puts his hand in one after another. Nothing. Finally, in one of the jars, his hand wraps around something in a cloth. Its 3 bundles are moldy and green with age. All of it seems worthless, but he takes it anyways. These Bedouins were clueless as to what they had just found. Something far more valuable than the jewels and the gold they were hoping for. In this cave and in 10 other caves were found manuscripts of scripture and other writings nearly 1,000 years older than any existing biblical text. All told, 931 documents were discovered spanning different time periods, some as early as 300 BC all the way to 40 AD. These documents have come to be known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. These scrolls are not the original Hebrew Bible, but they are the oldest copies of those documents that we have today. Some of the historical documents found give us a better picture of the world that Jesus lived in and the society in which the early church started. Who was it that took such care to preserve scripture and these other ancient documents? A clue came from the book called Natural History by Pliny the Elder, written around 77 AD. Pliny described a group of first-century Jews called the Essenes, who separated themselves from the rest of society, living on the western shore of the Dead Sea, which was the immediate vicinity of the scrolls' recovery. Historians figure that these scrolls were the library of this Jewish sect, the Essenes. They had hidden the scrolls in caves when the Romans were assaulting Jerusalem around 70 AD. And when these assaults were over, the area called Qumran was overrun and vanquished. From this last desperate attempt of the Essenes to save these precious writings, the desert took over. The dry heat preserved them all these centuries, so even the desert has its purpose. What exactly was the significance of these scrolls to get us all excited today? Well, that's the topic of our next video.